Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're taking a closer look at a book. So many of you wanted to hear more about Stormie Omartian's The Power of a Praying Parent.
A classic for a reason, right?
Definitely a parenting staple.
Mm.
But we're going deeper than just, good book, everyone go read it. We're really unpacking how Omartian's approach can practically weave into your prayer life.
Mhm.
Because, let's face it, praying for our kids is important, but it can also feel kind of daunting. Where do you even start?
Oh, absolutely. And Omartian gets that. Right off the bat, she acknowledges that feeling of being overwhelmed that so many parents feel. It's like you're suddenly responsible for this little human and all their big stuff.
And the stakes are so high, right? It's your kid we're talking about.
Exactly. And that's where her whole message about partnering with God comes in. It's like, okay, deep breath. You're not meant to do this alone. You have help.
I love that.
But
Tell me more about this whole partnership idea.
So there's this really powerful story in the book's intro about how Omartian received this message herself. She was at a point where she was completely overwhelmed, felt like she was failing as a parent, and then bam, this clear message about not being alone just hit her.
It's like that light bulb moment, right?
Yeah.
When you suddenly realize, wait a minute, I don't have to have all the answers. It reminds me of like when you're struggling to carry something super heavy and someone just comes up and grabs the other end without even asking.
Yes, that feeling of relief. And for Omartian, it was this realization that she could turn to God as a partner in parenting. And the cool thing is, she doesn't just talk about it, she lives it. Even now, with her kids all grown up, she's been praying consistently for them for over 25 years.
25 years, that's serious dedication.
Yeah,
But it really highlights how important she believes. This is like not just a once in a while thing, but really making prayer a habit, right?
totally. It's about weaving it into the everyday. And, another thing Omartian keeps coming back to is this idea of spiritual authority. Now, before you think, oh no, here comes the control freak parenting, it's not about that at all.
No, definitely not about controlling your kid.
It's more about recognizing that as a parent, you have this unique position, this ability to intercede for your child in the spiritual realm, to lift them up in prayer in a way that no one else can.
So it's tapping into this power, this potential that we have as parents. I like that.
Yeah.
But does Omartian address what happens when you don't get that instant answer to a prayer? Because let's be real, sometimes we pray and nothing, or it seems like nothing.
She does. And she's very clear that while prayer is definitely powerful, it's not a magic wand. Sometimes the answers unfold gradually over time. It might be days, weeks, even years before you see the change you're praying for.
That's a tough one, though, right? Waiting for something that might not happen on your timeline.
Absolutely. But the key takeaway here is that just because you don't see it instantly doesn't mean those prayers aren't working. It's more like you're working within a much bigger divine timeline.
And that's what I love about how Omartian approaches this whole thing in her book. It's not just this vague idea of pray for your kids. She gets that you need something practical, right? Something you can actually use day to day.
Yes, exactly. It's like she's handing you a toolbox, full of specific prayers for all the different areas of your child's life.
Like a prayer for every occasion.
Pretty much. And it's not one size fits all either. The way she words things, the way she focuses each prayer, it really shows you how to tailor your prayers to those specific needs, those specific worries that, let's face it, most parents have.
Absolutely. So it's like instead of just a general, please keep my kids safe, which, let's be honest, we've all prayed at some point, right?
Right. But she takes it deeper, like with the prayer for protection from harm. She's encouraging you to pray about those specific things that keep you up at night.
Give me an example. What kind of stuff?
Well, she talks about accidents, illness, abuse, even negative influences, like those peer pressure situations. It's about being proactive, not just reactive.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's about getting ahead of those fears, those what-if scenarios that can really send us down a rabbit hole.
Exactly. And then there's the prayer for feeling loved and accepted. This one always gets me because it's so core to a child's emotional well-being. Because, it's one thing for a kid to be loved, but it's another for them to really feel it deep down, to believe it.
Oh, I totally agree. That feeling of being fully seen and accepted for who they are, that's huge.
Right. And Omartian doesn't just stop at praying for the child. She guides you, the listener, the parent, to pray for yourself, too. Because let's face it, we're human. We mess up.
We bring our own baggage to the table, sometimes without even realizing it.
Exactly. And those insecurities, those negative patterns, we can accidentally pass those down without even meaning to. It's like unintentional inheritance.
Oh, it's so true, those generational things. I've seen that happen, even in my own family.
Right. But this prayer, it encourages you to become a conduit of God's unconditional love, to break those cycles and model a healthier way of relating for your kids.
So it's recognizing that, hey, we need guidance too. We're all works in progress here, parents included.
Exactly. And then another great example is the prayer for developing a hunger for God. This one isn't about, like, forcing your kid to be a certain way religiously.
Not about checking boxes or being perfect little churchgoers, right?
No, not at all. This is about something way deeper. Omartian emphasizes that genuine desire for a relationship with God, like that internal compass that wants to do what's right, even when it's hard.
Which, let's face it, is a pretty big prayer these days. There's so much pulling our kids in every direction, so many distractions.
You're telling me it's tough out there for a parent.
It really is. And it's like you're asking for a miracle, right? To keep them grounded in their faith when the world's telling them to chase after something else.
It's a constant prayer, that's for sure. But Omartian doesn't just focus on those everyday things. She tackles some pretty tough topics too.
Oh yeah, she does not shy away from the heavy stuff. Like when she talks about generational curses,
Whoa.
whoa, that one's stopped me in my tracks a little.
It's intense, right? But it's also so real. The idea that those negative patterns, those painful things can get passed down through families, even if we don't realize it.
It's like those invisible strings tying us to the past. But how do you even begin to pray about something like that?
That's where Omartian's guidance is so helpful. She actually provides some really powerful prayers, specifically for breaking free from those burdens, those things you might have picked up in your own life.
So it's about praying for your own healing, too, in a way.
Exactly, because the idea is, by taking responsibility for your own spiritual wholeness, you're creating a healthier foundation for your kids. It's like those chains that might have been holding you back, you're breaking them so they don't get passed down.
Man, that is some powerful stuff. See, this is why I wanted to dive into this book with you. It gets real,
Right.
it's not just surface level.
No, it definitely goes there. And another theme that really resonated with me, especially in today's world, is the power of speaking life. And this isn't just about, like, telling your kid to be nice.
Right, not just about avoiding bad words.
Exactly. It's about understanding the weight our words carry, the power they have to build up or tear down, especially online. Like you were saying earlier, it's so easy to forget that there's a real person on the other side of the screen.
No, absolutely. It's like everyone's a keyboard warrior these days.
Right. But Omartian encourages you to pray that your child uses their words to uplift, to encourage, to reflect God's love. It's about being a positive force in a world that desperately needs it.
Love that. Okay, so we've covered protection. We've talked about feeling love, developing their faith, breaking generational patterns, the power of words. What else? Oh, we have to talk about the big one.
The big one.
Praying for your future grandkids. Okay, maybe not grandkids specifically, but, their future spouse, their future relationships. That's a whole thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely a whole other layer of prayer there. And Omartian addresses it so well because it's one of those areas where it's easy to get a little intense as a parent.
Oh, tell me about it. Like the pressure's on, right? When you're getting married, when you're giving me grandkids, it's a lot.
It is. And Omartian, she approaches this with so much wisdom because it's not about dictating who your child should be with or forcing a timeline. It's about trusting that God has a plan, even if we can't see the whole picture yet.
Praying for that person, whoever they might be, and trusting the timing of it all. Easier said than done sometimes, but I love her perspective on it.
Me too. And the thing I appreciate most about Omartian's book is that it's not just filled with these lovely sentiments, She gives you actual words to pray.
Yes. It's like she's handing you the tools and saying, okay, here's how you can actually put this into practice.
Exactly. And she encourages you to take those prayers and make them your own because your relationship with your child is unique. You know their heart, their struggles, their dreams in a way that no one else does.
And that's where the true power lies, isn't it? That beautiful combination of Omartian's guidance and your own personal connection with your child and ultimately with God.
It's a beautiful thing, a powerful reminder that we're not alone in this parenting journey, and that even those whispered prayers we offer up for our children, they have the potential to change everything.
They really do. And at the end of the day, knowing that we can lift our kids up in prayer, that we can partner with God in shaping their futures, that brings a whole new level of peace, don't you think?
It does. And hope. Don't forget hope.
Absolutely. Hope for our kids, hope for their futures, and hope for the world they'll one day lead. And on that note, a huge thank you to everyone for joining us on another deep dive. Until next time.